Thank you very much, Nazar, and thank you, the Commander Amom, for your interventions and remarks. And I would like also to thank all the journalists who have taken the time to come and participate in this press conference. I would like to also thank the government of Kenya and the people of Kenya for hosting us today. This is not the first time that the Kenyan government and the Kenyan people are supporting the Sudanese in their continuous pursuit for peace, justice, and democracy. Throughout the years of the war in South Sudan, it was Kenya that continuously called for peace in Sudan. And it was the Republic of Kenya that hosted the negotiations that led to the Naivasha peace agreement that ended the longest running war in Africa. Today, as we are facing a new ordeal as Sudanese people, the Kenyan government is also supporting us to find a way towards peace, social justice, and democracy. The main question that everybody has in mind is, why are we founding this alliance? We are founding this alliance because there are about 20 to 25 million people in the areas that are controlled by the military organizations that are part of this charter and part of this initiative that need help and need support. These are the most vulnerable people in Sudan who have no option but to stay inside Sudan, either because they don't have the ability to leave or because they don't have the intention to leave. The de facto authorities in Port Sudan are imposing conditions of life that are discriminatory and that aim to force them to leave the country. We have a moral obligation to do something to help them and to enable them to live in dignity and just to have the life that everybody has in the other parts of Sudan. We are doing this because we know that there is no other person that can do it. And we have come together here in Kenya to establish this alliance and to form a government because there is a need for it. There is a necessity to establish this government. We are doing this also because we know that there are millions of children, millions of women and men who need health care, who need documents that the de facto authorities in Port Sudan are actually preventing them from obtaining. We are doing this because our history teaches us that wars in Sudan continue for a long time, between 10 to 25 years. And if we don't do anything, the millions of people who are currently in Sudan will not have any opportunity to get an education, and they will not have any opportunity to get health care. And we need to do this because there are many people who are calling on us to do it, not only in Sudan, but also Sudanese who live outside Sudan. This is the first point that I would like to highlight. The second point that I would like to highlight is that this is probably the largest alliance, the largest Sudanese alliance. It brings together many political organizations, many armed groups, and these are groups that are united by one objective: creating a new Sudan that is based on the principles that my friend here highlighted a few minutes ago. The Constitution that was ratified yesterday or signed yesterday by many political organizations and armed groups, in fact, reflects the principles that we actually agreed on and enshrined in the charter, the political charter that was signed a couple of days ago. I would like to highlight the main characteristics or provisions of this constitution. Number one, I would like to mention that the nature of this state is a secular, democratic, decentralized state. This is the first time in the history of Sudan that the constitution has provided for a secular state. The second point regarding the nature of the state is that it also separates cultural, ethnic, and regional identities from the state. This is also the first time that the Sudanese constitution is doing this. In the past, our constitutions recognized diversity in general, but we have moved a step forward to separate religion from the state and also to separate other forms or types of identity from the state. The second point regarding the constitution is that it provides for supra-constitutional principles. This is also the first time that the Sudanese constitution is providing for these principles. These supra-constitutional principles include secularism, voluntary unity, human rights and democracy, the right to peaceful resistance, and it also includes the criminalization of any dictatorial actions or tendencies. And as my colleague mentioned a few minutes ago, if any constitution in the future does not enshrine these supra-constitutional principles, the Sudanese peoples, all the Sudanese peoples, will have the right to exercise self-determination. We are not actually calling for the fragmentation of Sudan. All the members, all the organizational members and individual members of this initiative are actually pro-unity. But we speak about voluntary unity. We speak about genuine unity. Unity that is based on justice, that is based on freedom, democracy, and human rights. The Constitution also contains a comprehensive Bill of Rights. It is also the most comprehensive Bill of Rights that we have ever seen in the history of Sudan. And for our Kenyan brothers here, this Bill of Rights is actually, to a large extent, based on your 2010 Bill of Rights. I was fortunate enough to live here from 2009 to 2010 as a consultant for the Open Society Initiative for Eastern Africa, and I witnessed some parts of the discussions and deliberations that were conducted here to approve the Constitution. And the Constitution actually contained this Bill of Rights, from which we have learned and taken some important provisions. The Constitution mentions for the first time mechanisms for protecting human rights as part of the Bill of Rights. It speaks about the judiciary and other state institutions to protect human rights. And this is something that has not actually happened throughout the history of Sudan. The Constitution also establishes a two-chamber legislative body. It is also something that we have not witnessed recently. It speaks about the House of Representatives and a House of Regents. The House of Representatives will have 177 members, and the House of Regents will consist of 24 members, 3 members from each region. The Constitution establishes 8 regions in Sudan, so 3 members will represent each region in the House of Regents. The Constitution also establishes a presidential council of 15 members. 8 of them will be governors of the 8 regions. They will ex officio be members of the Presidential Council, and they will also ex officio be the deputies of the head of the Presidential Council. The alliance, the Sudan Founding Alliance, will 7 members, so the total number will be 15 members. And finally, the Constitution also reflects an important provision of the political charter, which is the establishment of a new military institution in Sudan, a new police institution or apparatus in Sudan, and also a new intelligence and security service in Sudan. The existing institutions in Sudan are hijacked by the Islamic movement and the National Congress Party. We all know that they do not reflect the will of the vast majority of the Sudanese people. We need institutions, military or security institutions, that are democratic, that are apolitical, and that reflect the diversity of the Sudanese people. The Constitution, finally, speaks about a foreign policy that presents Sudan as a pluralistic and diverse country. Sudan has a lot of diversity. We have Arab populations, we have African populations, we have Christians, we have Muslims, we have people who follow African religions and belief systems. But since 1955, Sudan has been presented to the world as an Arab Islamic state. We want to correct that, and our constitution is the first step towards, correcting that false picture or image of Sudan. And I think I will just stop here, and I look forward to having a fruitful discussion in the next few minutes.